Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. Our program will begin shortly. Ladies and gentlemen, please turn your attention to the screens for our video presentation. Please welcome Heather Staines, BGA Board Chair and Luncheon Co-Chair, to the stage.
All right, so my job, I think, is really to get you quiet just for a moment. I want to thank all of you for being here this afternoon. It's great to see the crowd. I'm Heather Staines. I chair the BGA Board, and I'm one of today's co-chairs for the luncheon. Just want to start saying, according to an esteemed colleague, Groucho Marx, government and its political leaders look for trouble, find it everywhere, diagnose it incorrectly, and apply the wrong remedies. So we can sort of laugh, and no matter what our political leanings right now, we can probably agree that a lot of that's happening across the country, and it's really sort of jaw-dropping and terrifying to some extent. For more than 100 years, the Better Government Association has held power to account. Today, we remain Illinois' only nonprofit that has both a newsroom dedicated to investigative and solutions-oriented journalism and a policy arm to advocate for good governance. Together with supporters like you, we are building a more transparent, equitable, and accountable government for the benefit of all the people of Illinois. And while much remains to be done, clearly, we couldn't lead this vital effort without the generosity of everyone in this room here today. So thank you very much. I also want to recognize the people who have helped make the luncheon possible. My fellow co-chairs, John Canning, Carol Joins, and Michael Sachs. Very much appreciate all of your help. Thank you. And we also have a great crew of Second Century Council sponsors and partners, Rita and John Canning, the Edwardson Family Foundation, the Elizabeth Morse Charitable Trust and Elizabeth Morse Genius Charitable Trust, Mary and Paul Finnegan, Jim and Karen Frank, GCM Grosvenor, the Richard H. Driehaus Foundation, and the Robert R. McCormick Foundation. Thank you all very much for your support of the BGA. And of course, if you haven't had a chance to be generous yet with the BGA, there's always there's always another opportunity, or if you're inspired to give more, there's donation envelopes on your tables. And your support directly fuels the BGA's fight for better government. And then I also want to thank the talented and tenacious BGA staff and board members. It's a pleasure to be able to work alongside all of them. Thank you all very much. And now we can move on to today's program. We are proud to be honoring the Richard A. Driehaus Foundation with the 2025 Watchdog Award, accepted by the amazing Executive Director Anne Lazar. And following that, the BGA President, David Greising, will be in conversation with our featured guest, Ambassador Rahm Emanuel. A great program, and without further ado, I'd like to bring up David Greising, who's been our tremendous President and CEO, really leading us growing the impact of the BGA. Thank you, David.
Thank you, Heather. Thank you for your leadership of the BGA board and all that you do for the BGA. It's great to work with you. I'm fortunate to stand here before you again today as president of the BGA, now a 102-year-old nonprofit devoted to transparency, equity, and accountability in government to benefit the people of Illinois. Thank you all for joining us here today. Thank you to the dozen, I guess it's more than a dozen, I was told 18 elected officials among us for your service and your respect for our work. Thanks too to the staff of the Four Seasons for preparing and serving the meal you all are eating. Let's give them a hand. It's customary at this luncheon to highlight the BGA's track record over the prior year, and don't worry, you'll get plenty of that. Since we last convened, the BGA's Illinois Answers Project newsroom has helped secure more humane conditions in county jails and identified ways to knock down barriers to economic mobility for millions of people. Our BGA policy team helped gain new powers for Chicago's Inspector General and helped pass a new law that protects free speech rights for journalists and for the general public. A video later in the program will highlight more of the achievements compiled by a BGA staff of 27 people working to make government in Chicago and Illinois more open, more just, and more answerable to the people. And we are supported and guided in this work by BGA board members, many of whom are hosting tables here today. Will BGA staff and board please stand and be recognized for your important work? In a typical year, I might offer more detail about how we accomplish our work, the way we leverage our city and state partnerships, our use of solutions-focused journalism that identifies effective responses to problems in government, the painstaking persistence our policy team applies to strengthening ethics, fiscal responsibility, and effectiveness in state and local government. But this is not a typical year. It is not typical for National Guard troops from Texas to marshal in Chicago's suburbs, or the President of the United States to urge the arrest of Chicago's mayor and our state's governor. It is not typical for violence between immigration agents and protesters and against journalists to erupt in our streets. It is not typical for a legally binding $2 billion commitment from the federal government to help extend the CTA red line to be negated overnight. It is not typical for rural medical centers and urban safety net hospitals to teeter on insolvency because of an abrupt cutoff in Medicaid support. The BJA is a nonpartisan organization. We seek good government without fear, favor, or political bias. My list of non-typical events shows how extreme partisanship at the federal level is affecting us here in Illinois, whether our politics are red or blue. In the face of this federal fallout, we here in Illinois need to work together to solve our own problems. And in this circumstance, the BJA intends to look back to our roots and focus on what brought our founders together in the first place, the need for better government to serve the people of our state. Dramatic struggles over power and politics are affecting Illinois people every day. People suffer when their rights are eroded, when government services are disrupted, when runaway government budgets hit them in the wallet, when underfunded pensions put their retirement at risk, when poor performing schools get neglected, when public corruption, whether in Dalton or City Hall or Springfield, perverts government and robs us of honest service. In the face of forces that are shaking the very foundations of government, some might despair, but the BJA is digging in. We are drawing on our legacy, and we are using this moment to reassess and reimagine how the BJA can most effectively respond. We can challenge power, we can power answers, and we must do so for the benefit of everybody in Illinois. We can leverage our expertise with data-centric journalism to track the impact of disrupted federal spending. We can deploy our statewide reporting network, working with partners to address the problem of news desert and ensure accountability where it might not otherwise exist. We can focus our policy resources on securing changes to law, policy, and practice that can help government work for us, no matter how entrenched the political resistance or how strongly the federal headwinds might blow. In short, we are doubling down on commitments the founders of the BJA made more than a century ago. Right now, we need to carry that legacy forward and serve as a catalyst to strengthen the foundations of government. And this is where you come in. That's right, you, the people in this room, and the thousands more who would join us in demanding more effective, just, and honest government. We need you. When our policy team works in the halls of power, your voices add strength to ours. When our reporters uncover wrongdoing or find an answer to a problem that erodes good government, you add power by reading it, sharing it, and demanding change. As the challenges to good government mount, we are developing new ways to connect with you, to learn how government affects your lives, and to find ways you can get involved in the fight for better. Your financial support matters, of course. The BJA today is stronger than ever because you and many like you have sustained our work for all these years. Thank you for that, and please give yourself a hand. Your presence here today is an affirmative statement that truth, fairness, and accountability still matter, and that the people of our state will benefit if we strengthen our ability to defend and advance these values. Thank you for standing with us, especially in these unusual times. The challenges we face are growing, but working together, we can thwart them and secure a better government for all the people of Illinois. Thank you very much.
Hello. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ruby Bailey, and I am editor-in-chief of the Illinois Answers Project. And first of all, let me thank David so much for that wonderful, wonderful speech. Thank you, David. It is my distinct joy and honor today to be able to present this year's Watchdog Award to the Richard H. Driehaus Foundation, and to be accepted by none other than its outstanding Executive Director, Anne Lazar. The Driehaus Foundation made a visionary investment in our work at the Illinois Answers Project, and one that no other newsroom that I'm aware of has achieved, and even if it has, I will say no other one has done as well. They helped us build what we consider to be a first-of-its-kind investigative team that reaches into communities where local news has all but disappeared, if it hasn't actually disappeared, and watchdog journalism that was once done just kind of seemingly fell out of reach. We simply could not have done the work that we've done without them. And their leadership is making a real and significant change. Our Strap Down series, the investigation into the misuse of jail restraints in county jails across this state, of able-bodied people as well as of people who had either physical or mental disabilities, led to reform in 6 counties, calls for reform from state lawmakers, and new training standards. In Metro East, our reporting on chronic river or sewer overflows helped to unlock $10 million in long-delayed infrastructure funding. And we are just one of more than a dozen teams that the Driehaus Foundation supports here in Chicago and across Illinois. There really is power in visionary philanthropy. Journalism that not only informs, but transforms. So please join me in celebrating the Richard Driehaus Foundation and Anne Lazar, our 2025 Watchdog Award honoree.
Thank you, Ruby, and the BGA. Along with my wonderful colleagues at the Richard H. Driehaus Foundation and our board, it is an honor to have the foundation named as the 2025 Watchdog Award recipient. If you know the Driehaus Foundation, we are more accustomed to the other side of presenting and hosting awards. Whether that's celebrating historic preservation, the beloved bungalow, the arts, or investigative reporting. For more than 3 decades now, the Driehaus Foundation has been committed to its mission, enriching the lives of all Chicagoans. We do this by supporting improvements to the built environment, cultivating a diverse arts and culture ecosystem, and supporting investigative journalism that fosters effective government. And at first glance, supporting ballet shoes and gumshoes might not be an obvious match, but our founder, Richard Driehaus, knew their innate connection. That we cannot have robust and diverse arts and culture without good government, and that we cannot have a healthy and equitable built environment without good government. The Driehaus Foundation views our investigative journalism grant making as central to our support areas and not separate from it. And we're proud to be part of a growing network of foundations making investments in newsrooms as part of how they support communities. Journalism, and investigative journalism especially, create enormous returns. Reporting on delays in Chicago Housing Authority spending can spur the creation of more affordable public housing. Reporting on the illegal use of restraint chairs in Illinois county jails can improve standards for those awaiting trial and still innocent until proven guilty. And reporting on police misconduct can prevent millions in lawsuits, make government more transparent and accountable, and more importantly, save lives. We share this Watchdog Award with the investigative newsrooms we support. They help hold our government accountable and make our communities, our city, and our state better places. These include the BGA's own Illinois Answers Project newsroom, along with many others, including Block Club Chicago, Borderless Magazine, Capital News Illinois, City Bureau, Chalk Beat, Chicago Public Media, the Chicago Reader, Cicero Independiente, the Investigative Project on Race and Equity, Injustice Watch, Invisible Institute, ProPublica, Report for America, and Southside Weekly. This time, thank you. This time in our democracy, both locally and nationally, demands that we all remain engaged and participate as watchdogs to advance a more equitable democracy that benefits us all. Richard knew what growing up in a working-class family in Chicago was like, and he knew his investing success and wealth earned the regard of many. One of the many pieces of wisdom he shared as he established the foundation was that the measure of one's personal holdings is of less importance than the impact of our collective aspirations made real. To carry on Richard's legacy, the foundation has provided more than $6 million to Chicago journalism in the past 3 years to help spur that impact. And in 2025, we will provide more than $17 million in grants overall. Thank you. Instrumental in the expansion of our journalism program are the tireless efforts of my colleague, Senior Program Officer Nick Burt, who has demonstrated dynamic leadership in achieving the notable year-over-year growth. Thank you, Nick. On a personal note, last month I announced that after nearly 17 years of wearing various Driehaus hats, I'm retiring as Executive Director of the Driehaus Foundation at the end of the year. It has been a privilege to work with Richard over many years and the team at the Foundation and our board, and along the way, to learn from investigative newsrooms and our many other grantee partners. I'm proud to pass the baton to Lynn Osmond as the Foundation's next Executive Director, who shares a deep interest and experience in our civic engagement and supporting investigative journalism and all of our grant making. So, on behalf of the Driehaus Foundation, we thank the BGA for this Watchdog Award, and here's to watchdogs everywhere. May we support them, and may we be them. And a special thank you to all of the investigative journalists here in the room today who invest so much to uncover the truth for all of us. Thank you.
Please welcome Brian Shore, BGA Board Member and Development Committee Member, to the stage.
Thank you and congratulations, Anne. Extraordinary work. Job well done over the last 17 years. Thank you. The BGA is deeply grateful for your leadership and for the Driehaus Foundation's visionary support of investigative and solutions-focused journalism, work that is transforming communities and strengthening democracy across Illinois. It's an honor to count you and the Foundation as true partners in advancing accountability, equity, and transparency in our state. And now, please turn your attention to the screens.
Deep cuts to safety net programs, including SNAP and Medicaid.
FEMA's proposing nearly $1 billion.
Metra and Pace are getting closer to a fiscal cliff.
Public broadcasting will be shut.
Protesters clash with border patrols.
Sometimes it feels like too much. Everything, everywhere, all at once. Across Illinois, we see those challenges up close. The instability that makes it hard for families to get by, housing that isn't safe or affordable, violence in our neighborhoods, and public systems falling short. That's why the Better Government Association was founded.
For more than 100 years, the BGA has held power to account. Today, we are a rare good government nonprofit with both a newsroom and a separate policy arm. Together, we work for a government that is more transparent, equitable, and accountable for the benefit of everyone in Illinois. Because when power is unchecked, democracy is undone.
Through the Illinois Answers Project, our newsroom investigates systemic issues and reports on responses through solutions journalism.
We analyze data, explore reforms, discover their limitations, and uncover important lessons.
What we report on isn't just headlines. It begins with people. In Inglewood, Old Irving, Lawndale, neighbors talked with us about the barriers they face and the ideas they have for building something better.
And that's why our reporting zeroes in on 3 areas: public safety and criminal justice, equity and economic opportunity, and government finance and accountability.
We do this work in depth to keep the public informed and to shine a light on injustices, failures, and abuses of power.
Not every newsroom has the resources to dig through 280,000 pages of records or file more than 1,000 FOIA requests in pursuit of a major project.
Truth is powerful, but journalism alone can't always drive reform.
Over the past 2 years, BGA policy has worked to advance laws that strengthen accountability and to block those that would weaken it. At the city level, we've secured reforms. We strengthened the independence of the City Inspector General, opened City Council to greater transparency, and restored public access to hearings.
We've testified in Springfield on pensions, the right of access to public records and ethics. We've protected the free speech rights of all journalists and produced Chicago's most detailed budget analysis.
At the core is a belief in people and justice. That's why we lead coalitions, more than 26 partners pressing for ethics, policing, and housing reforms.
Accountability isn't secured in silos. That's what makes the BGA unique. Take our Pulitzer Prize-winning investigation, The Failures Before the Fires. The reporting revealed deadly housing conditions. The city failed to act.
3 years later, BGA policy picked up the thread, pushing for change as a leader of the Healthy Homes Coalition.
What harms one of us harms us all.
Behind every investigation is a family, a neighborhood, a community that deserves better. This work is about accountability and also about hope.
Your support is a declaration of action, of belief that government should work for everyone.
Stand with us.
Stand with us.
Stand with us. Challenge power.
Power answers.
For Illinois.
Wow. Good afternoon, everyone. I think we all know what time it is. If you haven't figured it out by now, I'm up here to ask for money. I'm Brian Schur, a proud board member of BGA. It's my privilege to invite you to join me in supporting the work of the BGA. I joined the board of the BGA going on about 5-6 years ago now, because I was fearful as I watched the hollowing out of the local press. Investigative journalism seemed to become a thing of the past. In the BGA, I saw an organization devoted to shining a light on government and holding public officials accountable. The BGA is truly focused on local issues. It is not run to maximize private equity profits. It is here for the benefit of all of us in Chicago and Illinois. And I hoped that my efforts, in whatever small way, could help the BGA continue its mission. So please find the donor cards or the QR code, which I don't think you can miss on the back of your books there, and make your gift online. Through investigative and solutions-focused reporting, policy reform, and civic engagement, the BGA spots challenges and helps drive real change. Illinois is a state of extraordinary promise and entrenched imbalance. Too often, opportunity depends on where you live, who you know, or what you start with. The BGA exists to challenge that inequity and to remind us that government isn't abstract, it's people. And when it fails, people suffer. That's why this work and your support matter. Our reporting, our advocacy, and our impact depend entirely on people like you who believe in good government. Because without journalism, there can be no accountability. Without public action, reforms fall short. And when power is unchecked, democracy is undone. Now, 2025 has been a challenging time for both our nation and our state. You've heard it today. You can't help but hear it on a daily basis. We have seen local leaders, judges, thank you, Judge Perry, and of course the press step up to authoritarian tactics. It is our turn to step up as well. As Thomas Jefferson said, our liberty depends on the freedom of the press and that cannot be limited without being lost. So please use a QR code or the card that are on your table, make a gift today. Every person here can help advance equity, justice, and hope across our city and state. Let's do this together. Stand with us. Thank you.
Now, please enjoy your lunch, and we will be back shortly with the second half of our program.